Welcome back to the Dino Dungeon Devlog. I'm Dino, it says so on my hoodie. Wishlist Dino Dungeon on Steam so I have an incentive to finish the game. No jokes this time, it's just the truth, but also if you don't do it you eat ass. Last time we created new environment tiles, and this time I'm more concerned with level elements, starting with creating a conveyor belt that can be switched on and off, as well as have it run forwards and backwards. There's this video by Brackies about 2D effectors in Unity, and this one particularly, the surface effector 2D, when an object is touching the surface, the object gets moved. That seems like a conveyor belt, maybe it'll work. So, as a quick test, create a box, put a box collider on it, and then add the surface effector 2D, and then put something on it, and it appears to work. However, when I put my character on it, it does not work. Put simply, without blowing your mind, only two things can move my dinos, and that's the player input and physical objects acting on them. And the surface effector isn't either of those, it's like a little cheat. However, the box doesn't have the player controller, so the box acts as expected. But I don't want to change my player controller again, because the control of my dinos feels really, really good. However, I notice that I have many a moving platform in my game, and they work, and they move the dinos regardless of anything. So the surface effect is no good, but a moving platform is good. And I remember, there's this video floating around about creating 3D conveyor belts, and I didn't think that I'd be able to use that, but once I watched it I realised what they're doing is, there's basically different ways to move stuff in Unity, and some of it applies friction, and other ways do not apply friction. And if you combine these different ways, you can create a platform that vibrates, and one way it's applying friction and the other way it isn't, and that will move the object in one direction. I wrote some code and I tested it out, and it turns out this physics hack works really, really well. And after playing with it a bit more, I realised I need an animated pixel art conveyor belt, and I can't find it, so I need to make it myself now. All of the art that you've seen in the game has been from asset packs, so for me to sit down and do some pixel art and then animate it is really something. By happenstance, these notches on the belt actually sync up, and I didn't believe myself, so I put these red guides, and they really do sync up, so I threw a cog in there. Then I created the middle and leftmost piece, and it looks alright, so let's put it in Unity. Dare I say it, I actually think it looks pretty damn good, and I am actually kind of proud of myself here. So playing with it more and more, I had a few ideas. The whole point of creating this is so I can make interesting puzzles. So I want to be able to control which direction the conveyor belt goes in, and also be able to start and stop the conveyor belt. But I thought it would be really interesting if the player could also do this. I want the player to stamp on the button, so I made it in two parts, and the button piece is actually a spring joint, so it bounces back in place. And the text and sprite change every time the player is moving down in that button space. And for some variety, the lever, which controls the direction of the conveyor belt, the player just kicks it. It is also a switch, but this one just gets activated by kicking. Current members of the Discord server already knew about the buttons and switches in the conveyor belt, so if you want to know what I'm working on next, join the Discord server. So just to flex a little bit, the conveyor belt is just a device, and these switches just understand that there are devices in the world. So I point the switches at a device and it understands, okay, so a device can be on and off, and it can have a default state and an alternate state. So I extended this to the moving platforms. Typically, moving platforms in the game so far have just worked by moving between 2 points, but I decided that it'd be better if the moving platforms had a list of points, they're waypoints, and now the platform can move in whichever pattern I desire. By extending the moving platform to include the device interface, you can actually have the moving platform be activated by these switches now, and also, of course, change the direction of the moving platform. I must stress a little that this is not a game about stamping on buttons and kicking levers or levers. It's just that I would like options as a designer to create interesting puzzles. And I think moving platforms will be useful. I think conveyor belts will be useful. But what I'm not going to do is use a million buttons in a level and have the player not know what does what. Likewise, I don't think many levels will have numerous devices, and if they do, they will probably have devices of the same type to keep it simple and make sense. If you have an idea for a device or have any ideas for any type of level elements, please let me know in the comments. Before we wrap up, I just want to say thank you to everyone the past year that has been watching me make these devlogs and turning up to watch them during the pandemic. It's been a pretty rough time, but like this is just this one good thing in my life where I'm making something and people are actually turning up, and like especially thank you to like the patrons that give me a little bit of money every month, and thank you for anyone who bought like a t-shirt or hoodie. Patrons actually get a discount. If you're not subscribed, you should subscribe, because only 18% of people who watch my videos are subscribed, so maybe subscribe. And I will have like a real incentive to try and get these out more often and sooner and more regularly. Remember to hit the bell button so when I make something at my end, you receive it on the bell end.